Hey guys, Dr. Kristie Ennis, physical therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, and nutritionist. And today we are going to go over the best low back stretches for both pain relief and recovery. Now, whether you are a weekend warrior and you're just going all out on the weekends, or you're somebody that happens to get to sit at a desk all day, yay, which is a lot of people, or driving, what tends to happen is that some of the low back muscles get tight, and not just the back muscles, that's key to know today, but these hip muscles that surround the back and even some of them that attach into the spine also get tight, and so we really need to focus on all of those muscles. So, number one exercise we're gonna do, one of my all-time favorites. You may, if you do yoga, you may have seen this before. It's called a cat-cow or cat-camel or whatever name you wanna call it, but you're going to go breathe in, lift that head, extend that head, squeeze those shoulder blades, breathe out, and then round and tuck. Now, you always want to keep pain as a guideline. None of these should be painful. So that's okay if you have to start out in a little bit of a smaller range too. So we're trying to get that spine a little bit more mobile, the abdominals starting to activate a little bit. So this is always a great one to start with as a little bit of a warm-up. So 10 repetitions or so, roughly. It doesn't have to be exact for that. Then we're going to move on to a little bit of soft tissue work. So you cannot stretch out a knot. It just doesn't work that way. So that if you've got those tight little spots, those little bumps, you want to make sure that you actually loosen those up. So to get to the hips, we're going to use the little Derma Edge. So I'm going to go all through, and I'm going to do a little test like, ooh, yep, that's definitely tight there. So working in through the hamstring, you want to make sure the hip flexors and quads are good, and then those adductors as well. Do that until you go, okay, well, that's a little less bumpy and a little more comfortable. As far as the middle spine goes, we want to make sure that that also is mobile because that's also right above the low back. So if that's a problem, the low back can take some of the brunt of that too. So one of the ones I like is using my foam roller right about at the shoulder blade level. Hands behind the head as long as that doesn't hurt your shoulder. And you're really opening up. So I'm opening my shoulders up right over that. And you're going to just roll back and forth a little. If you find a good spot, you can hang out there. Should feel good. Remember, not bad, right? All of these should feel good. Do not use the foam roller in the lumbar spine, the low back. It puts too much of an arch in the spine and can actually cause some pain or some injury. So if you have a lot of tension down there, what I usually have people use is your handy dandy tennis ball. You can do this sitting in a chair or when you're driving. A lot of times I'll have my patients do that. Just stick this ball right behind on that low back and just it looks funny when you're driving, but it works. Just kind of wiggle back and forth. You can do it in your bed or you can do it on the ground too, and same idea. You're just kind of moving back and forth. Notice I'm not, right, super arching to do this. I'm just trying to loosen those muscles up, okay? Generally speaking, a couple minutes at a time works well, but you're really doing it until you feel things are a little bit looser, a little less uncomfortable, okay? So cat-cow, a little bit of soft tissue work. And then we're going to go into what's called a cobra position in yoga, or we'll call it a little prone press-up. So right on those elbows, I'm keeping my pelvis down, squeezing those shoulder blades, and then extending into the spine. Remember, this needs to be comfortable, okay? So if it hurts you to bend backwards, please don't do this one. But here, same idea, you're gonna come up and down. If that feels good and you can go even further, then you can go ahead up on those hands. And same idea, I don't have the flexibility. Notice my pelvis kind of comes right up, so I don't tend to do this one very much. Again, 10 repetitions or so roughly for this one. Since I'm already in that partial kneeling position, we're going to get those hip flexors stretched out a little. So one of my favorite ways to do this, and you can put a pillow down, one foot in front. You want to think about squeeze those bum muscles and do a little bit of a pelvic tilt. And then you're going to come forward to stretch the front of this leg. Squeezing the glutes actually gets you a better stretch in through those hip flexor muscles. You can certainly hang on if you need to. If this bothers your knee, just go ahead and do the same idea, but standing. I'm just going to stand really quick here. So same idea. I just have in a little bit of a lunge, still squeezing my butt, still pushing forward there, and I'm stretching this out. Fabulous. From here, I'm going to come right back down again. Oof, maybe. I'm going to go back down onto my back. we're going to add a little bridge. So notice I'm not extending super high up. I'm trying to engage in some of these muscles and get things mobile a little bit. To add a little bit more mobility, you can add I'm going to whack right into my screen there, but you can add a little bit of a reach, kind of across and over tends to feel good too. Right, so now we're getting our lats a little bit more as well as those glutes and that low back at the same time. From here, we're going to get what's called the piriformis muscle or some of our hip rotator muscles. My favorite way to do this is crossing one ankle over and then bringing that leg up. And you can get a little movement in here by adding that opposite leg, get a little hamstring too. If this hurts or it bothers your knee, you can easily just grab behind the thigh and then even bringing that knee across this way, right? If it hurts too much to put that pressure, you don't have to do that. You can keep that knee nice and loosey-goosey. And then, again, only if it feels good, especially if bending forward feels good, that's when you know this next one will feel good, is bringing one knee into the chest. What feels better for me instead of having this leg extended is actually keeping that opposite leg up. That gives my low back a little bit of support. So you can either grab behind the thigh, or if it feels okay and it doesn't bother the knee, you can even add a little bit more pressure by placing that hand right along the shin. And I just sometimes just want to hang out here. Do make sure that you do both sides. That's really important to get all of that. Also be careful about getting up and down. Sometimes I'm not the best at that. One more on the ground and then one last one standing. So to really get these little lumbar support muscles kicked in and lengthened, we're going to do the ever popular bird dog. So we want to make sure that when we bring that opposite arm out and that opposite leg out, that we're not twisting and turning, okay? So you want to make sure that that pelvis is steady so that we're stabilizing the spine, but getting some movement around it. And again, 10 repetitions or so, roughly. And I'm going to come right back up into standing to get those hamstring muscles. Very last stretch we're going to do today. So you don't have to have anything for this one. To get that hamstring stretched out, all you have to do is bring that leg straight out in front, toes up, and I'm just going to shift my weight back as I come forward. Sometimes all people need to do is bring their leg out, and that's enough of a stretch. You can add a little bit of a height to it. This is really high. I'm going to use it just to show you, but it may not work for you, okay? That's okay. But you can definitely put your leg up on something that's even a little lower, like a coffee table or the bed or a step, so that you're kind of in that in-between height. Stretch, not pain, right? Really important. This is the last one too, because now we're loosened up and warmed up a little bit, and you can actually hold that stretch a little bit. So there you go. There's a fabulous routine for you guys to do. Make sure your backs feel okay. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and stay tuned for more. Check out my website at drkristiennis.com. Thanks.